You know, people just can't fathom that the marketplace will continue to get more expensive. Of course, it's not easy. Like anything that is easy is generally not good for you anyway. But it's not like this thing that is out of reach. Like you have a choice to make. You either choose easy life now, hard life later, or hard life now, easy life later. And we have that choice with everything in life. I'm a bad boy if debt is bad because I've got lots of it.
Welcome to These Four Walls, the podcast that talks to real buyers and experts about the hardest, weirdest, and most surprising parts of buying and owning a home in Australia. We'll help you figure out what's going on in the world of property and what to do next.
Oh, welcome to These Four Walls. I'm
you.
Danny. This week's guest is one of our biggest names in Aussie property talk, Jack Henderson.
So they say.
Oh, so they say. Interesting. Okay. Well, we like to start our podcast with a listener letter. So This letter is actually from Jordan. He's 26 and from inner West Sydney. So he's probably happy at the moment that the Bulldogs are on top, but let's see if that stays.
Go the doggies.
Dear These Four Walls, I'm 26. I work full-time in comms. I've got around 18K in savings.
Mm-hmm.
I rent with friends and I genuinely feel like I will never own anything. The market just feels totally cooked.
Yep.
I can hear that. Every time I scroll, it's either a 1.5 million fixer-upper in Dulwich Hill or pictures of friends in front of a sold sign property, which I know their parents bought for them. I would love to hear from someone who's actually done it. So, Jack, you must hear this a lot.
My advice is get some rich parents, unfortunately. No, I'm kidding.
Start there,
I'm
Jordan.
kidding, yeah. So, look, I'm someone who, is very self-responsible. So I could be making the wrong assumptions, but I'm assuming if you're living in the inner west, you're living with friends, you're probably not sitting at home every weekend, twiddling your thumbs and being responsible with your money. I'm assuming you're down the local having a few schooners and enjoying life, probably spending too much money.
Excellent, as you should.
Yeah, you have to choose, right, in this world. We don't get to do everything. So, for someone like that, it'd be like, what can you currently budget? People think that they have to budget for their whole lives, but they just have to budget for a period of time until they get the capital required to buy their first property. And it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to afford the inner west for your first property, right? So the
Dulwich Hill, probably stop looking there, Jordan.
That's right. Or get rich parents. You've got the choice. So, we help a lot of first home buyers. It's not our core market of client, but we help a lot of them. And I can assure you, none of them are buying properties where they're going to live forever. They're buying properties where they can afford. And if you're in Sydney, that's probably not within, the Sydney metro region. It could be the Central Coast. It could be Newcastle. It could be Northwest Sydney. It could be an apartment over a house in the inner west. But the key is just to get the 5% deposit that you need. You won't pay lender's mortgage insurance. You won't pay stamp duty, and you just get into the marketplace. But that only comes through sacrifice, and that's not a new thing. Like I'm assuming all of our parents, I know my parents, they didn't just go, oh, property's cheap today, I'm going to go buy one. It's like there's sacrifice that's required to get into it. So probably not what he wanted to hear, but that's the reality.
And
Stop going to Bulldogs games.
But you started young as well. So what sacrifice did you make, or how did you start? And
the sacrifice that I made is I got kicked out of school when I was 15.
Wow.
And I lived at home.
Do we hear the backstory of why you got kicked out first?
Yeah, well, I just didn't want to be there, unfortunately. Yeah. So I wasn't selling cigarettes or, getting in fights or selling drugs or anything like that, although that would make for a better story.
It would.
I just didn't want to be there. So I was interrupting. Teachers didn't like me. I was a smart ass, all that stuff. The good thing is now in life, when you're a smart ass and you're good with marketing, it makes you money. Back then, it wasn't a good thing.
How times have changed.
I left school at 15. I, had nothing to spend my money on because as a 15-year-old, I was living at home like most 15-year-olds are. Didn't even have my license, so I had no real expenses. And I saved nearly all of my money from 15 to 18. And I got to 18 and mum and dad were like, hey, you've got all this money in the bank, go buy your first home. So they took me into the local ANZ, bank and Jody was the bank managers. I need to get Jody on a podcast actually. And, I got a loan and I went and bought a property.
Wow.
And that was it. Like it wasn't revolutionary. I wasn't this big investor and, I didn't really have these big, hairy, audacious goals back then. I just bought my first property because I saved up money. And I obviously was in a good savings habit. But in saying that, I didn't go overseas. I didn't travel. I didn't, do the whole schoolies and, gap year and all that. Like I worked from when I was 15 years old, full-time, 6 days a week in construction.
Yeah.
So that's it. It wasn't revolutionary.
Awesome. But so you had your parents, they helped you and they were backing, as in not financially, but support-wise.
Well, if you look online, apparently I got super rich parents.
There you go.
I'm trying to find them. I'm like, no, my mum and dad are like white collar, blue collar, whatever you want to call them. They work hard. Yep. Dad was in construction. My mum was, in admin/HR. And as most parents do, it's like you're responsible if you're telling your child to be responsible with their money, which is what they were doing. Like, you got all this money in the bank. You're an 18-year-old.
Besides the money part, how did you then navigate the whole experience of getting the mortgage, finding the area to go, all that?
Well, getting the mortgage, I didn't really understand what I was doing back then. So they took me into the ANZ, which is where they had gotten their home loan from.
Yeah.
So, I signed a few documents and got a pre-approval and all the rest of it. And, and then like everyone does, I researched, I listened to podcasts, I watched YouTube videos, I read books because I was genuinely interested in it. And I happened to find a guy by the name of Chris Gray, who I actually had breakfast with this morning in the office. Chris was much younger and much skinnier back then. He's now fat, retired and bald.
I was about to say, are you saying Chris is fat now?
Yeah, he loves when I say that.
Sorry, Chris.
But he's an absolute legend and I have so much time and respect for him. But he did this talk, which was recorded and put on YouTube at a CPA event, so for accountants. And he virtually just spoke about how he was an accountant for Deloitte, and then he used his income from Deloitte to go and build his portfolio, and then his portfolio retired him at 31, and all of a sudden now he's got a supercar and a yacht in the harbour. And I was like, this guy sounds like Jack Henderson, work until 31 and retire. I love that. So I just was obsessed with him, and I started to go to his seminar. So I'd catch the train from Windsor, which is in the western suburbs, into the city. And I would go to all of these buildings like we're sitting in now and watch seminars and listen to people. And that was it. I learned, just like if you want to go to Europe, you go, where's the best places to go? They make an itinerary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we've got this thing called ChatGPT. Like,
game changer.
Hey, GPT, can you please help me with a savings plan? I'm 18. I work in this job. I live at home. My expenses are Y. How can I save my deposit? It'll give you a better answer than Jack Henderson will.
I love that. And I was actually stalking, I will admit to it, on your Instagram. And you had this whole piece
from there on.
Yeah, no, you had this whole piece around being obsessed and like having a passion and just obsessing and going after it. And I think you've kind of summed it up there with the whole property and how you just got obsessed and you did everything to make that come a reality.
Yeah, and that obsessive nature, everyone has it in them, right? Because like when you want something, whether it's the new car, whether it's, you're a new mum and you're obsessed with your baby and like being an amazing mother, or whether you're male and you're into bodybuilding, whatever it is, like everyone has their little things that they're obsessed with. So if you want to buy a property, the reality is you can become obsessed with something that you're interested in, and all of a sudden those things become a reality.
And you started with one, obviously, and it grew from there. So what did you see in the market, or what changed to get you into that journey?
I wanted to be rich.
Love it.
That's it. Like, I don't know, anyone who's like, I want to invest in things because I enjoy investing. It's like, no, I wanted to be rich. That was the reality. I was like, I didn't want to be poor and I wanted to be rich. And I was like, I'm not very smart. I didn't finish school. Chris seems to make property look easy. So like, surely it can't be that hard.
Just follow Chris, become obsessed.
And like, I know it sounds funny, but that was legitimately it. It was find someone who's been there and done it. I was naive enough to listen to everything that he said, and I'm now here.
Wow, I love it.
That was literally it. And I tell everyone the same thing. It's like, go find someone you resonate with. Jack Henderson doesn't resonate. Like, not everyone resonates with me, which is fine. But there's lots of people out there that talk about the same stuff that I talk about, and just walk the same path that those people have walked in.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier.
And just to give people an idea, what was the first house you bought? Can you tell us the price,
apartment.
the suburb, all that stuff?
It was an apartment. It was in Coogee. It was unit 1 of 74 Bream Street.
Oh.
So I've done videos and stuff on it. I paid 720 grand for it, which, people are like, oh, it's a lot of money for your first property. It is and it isn't. I had no expenses. I lived at home. And that was the first property. That's now worth, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, I don't know.
Do you still have it?
I still have it. And now I actually did a video on it today. I've just turned it into an Airbnb to try and test out how that goes. And then from there, 18-ish months later, I then got my second property, of which I used Chris's service. He was a buyer's agent, so he bought my second property in Maroubra, another 2-bedroom apartment. Obviously, I was young and I was progressing through my career, and I was making more money than I was 2 years prior because I'd become older and better. Second one, and then I bought my third one, which was in Bar Beach in Newcastle, all apartments, not houses. And then I sort of hit a serviceability limit on my income.
Yeah.
The banks wouldn't lend me any more money. And remember, that was a declining interest rate environment. So serviceability was increasing with the decline in rates.
Yeah.
Where over the last sort of 36 months, it's been the opposite.
Yeah.
Your serviceability has been getting eroded as rates have increased. And then I spent 24 months in Newcastle, and I bought and sold a property, like an off the plan sort of thing where it was COVID, and I knew a guy who cut a good deal with the developer, and we put a $5,000 deposit down only, and then I sold it before we settled on it. I made some money. It was luck, it wasn't strategy. and then I now I've bought lots more.
Wow.
But it's all due to income and having the capital behind me now, right? Like, there's no secrets to it. There's lots of different strategies you can use to maximize your portfolio. But at the end of the day, it's how much money do you earn? How good are you with your money and having accessibility to debt to be able to buy property?
Got two thoughts. So the first one is actually a personal one. When I started doing, I actually went down the rent vesting route as well.
I still rent.
And I had this weird stigma in my head that I never wanted a unit or a townhouse because I didn't want body corp. And I just felt like the dream was a house. And it was like such a weird stigma. And in the end, I ended up getting a townhouse as part of a body corp.
Yeah.
But it was some weird, like, I don't know if you found any other stigmas that people have as first.
Lots.
But I was like, I don't know why I'm getting so stuck on this point around having a body corp.
I read this book. I actually listened to this guy talk and then I read the book. His name is Derek Sivers and he speaks about this concept and the book is called Useful, Not True. And it's all about that stuff. It's like these beliefs we walk around in life with that we believe are actually true. Like body corp is bad. No, it's not. That's a belief you have. Some are bad, some are good. Just like some houses are good and some houses are bad. So there's lots of stigmas that people have. Just like, owning a home is more secure or safer than renting, which is just complete BS. I've never been kicked out of a rental. But people just walk around in life with that because that's the truth. But the good thing about that is lots of people are obsessed with property and they want to continue to buy it. And the more people that want to buy property, the more expensive property gets and the more money Jack Henderson and people like me make. So.
Excellent. That's what we love. And like the funny thing on stigmas is I was actually in Melbourne recently and I was talking to some girlfriends and they basically just had in their mind, earn good money, good serviceability, like have deposits. And they were just like, oh, it's probably like 5 or 10 years away before I can even start thinking about it. And I challenged them and said, where has this come from? Like, have you spoken to a mortgage broker who's told you?
No, a good one.
Happened to be employed by one. But their answer was, oh no, I just, like, that's what I've assumed. Like, I need the 20%. Like, don't you need the 20%? And I was like, it is crazy that educated people in this day and age do not know these things.
Blows my mind. But I share it all the time and it always does so well. Like the content around... it's not. I honestly believe it's not that hard to get into the market. It's not easy. Like,
no,
of course, it's not easy. Like anything that is easy is generally not good for you anyway. But it's not like this thing that is out of reach.
Yeah,
it's just like you have a choice to make. You either choose easy life now, hard life later, or hard life now, easy life later. And we have that choice with everything in life.
Yeah,
and like a 5% deposit, no lender's mortgage insurance, no stamp duty. Like the only thing easier than that is if the government said, "Hey, here's the property. Enjoy.
Here it is. Here's your deposit."
And even then people would be like, oh, no, that's not right. The government give it to you. It's like, oh my gosh.
So what's the biggest myth you hear though from first home buyers or people in the industry? What's the one thing that every time you scratch your head being like, I don't understand how this exists?
Yeah, I think the biggest myth, there's so many myths out there. But like the common one is, people just can't fathom that the marketplace will continue to get more expensive. Because I honestly believe that people have this thing where they're like, oh no, I'll just wait for the market to drop and then I'll get in. Like,
totally.
Yeah, like that's a really common one. Or they just, I don't know how many people comment on my posts every day about like, oh, it's a Ponzi scheme, the market's going to crash, blah, 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 blah.
And actually, it's the waiting. So everyone in my family during COVID, and my family are all on the Gold Coast, so I decided to buy on the Gold Coast. And I was like, oh, I'm looking at this 3-bed and it's like close to $1 million, blah, blah, blah. Let's discuss. And everyone's like, oh, no, it's not worth $1 million. Like, just wait. And I was like, oh, okay. Then it was like, now it's 1.2 million. And I was like, everyone's like, no, we bought ours like back in the day for 1.5. I was like, that's a full house on the water. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, so don't pay 1.2 and 3-bed. I was like, are you even looking at the market? Like, it is not stopping. Like, it is crazy.
It's not just property though, right? Like people, I did a video on it the other day. My whole life is just a video, by the way.
I was about to say, what video haven't you done in the last few days?
Every time I think about something, I'm like, yeah, let's do a video. But people just make comments on things that they absolutely have no idea about. It's not just real estate. It's like everything in life. Like I can go anywhere and I can talk about something and someone will be like, oh, I'm like, well, who are you qualified to give me, that advice or like that opinion? And it's no different to real estate. You make a comment, oh, I'm looking at this, I'm doing that. And then every Tom, Dick and Harry has, oh no, do it like this. And it's like, oh yeah, how much money have you made through real estate? Oh, none. Okay, that's great.
What house do you own? Oh, I don't own any.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks for your uneducated advice.
And the other myth, just I thought, is like people think way too short term. That's the issue. So I think the challenge first home buyers have is like they think that by sacrificing for 12 or 24 months, that then correlates to their whole life. It's like, oh, that's what my life's going to be like. Why do I want to live like that? I want to live for the now. But it's like 24 months of sacrifice over a 60, 70, 80 year life is a very small portion.
Totally.
And then when people are in the market as well, or they're trying to invest, generally, again, it's short term. It's like, where's the next? We just spoke about like Perth. You should invest in Perth. Why? Oh, because it's going up right now. Oh, yeah, but what's Perth done for the last 30 years? Not that great.
Yeah.
But people think like the next hotspot, let's try and make money overnight. And anyone who's made a substantial amount of money knows that none of it comes overnight without luck.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in the eastern suburbs right now walking around with a lotto ticket for $100 million that doesn't even know he won it. Imagine being that guy.
Should we check the bins? I don't
know.
get it. Like, honestly.
That right there. You need to buy them if you want money overnight.
The only luck is if you get off the plan and buy like you did and then sell it straight away. But
that was
rare.
silly. I tell no one to buy off the plan. But I just had a friend that cut this deal with this developer because he wasn't selling stock, and I put a $5,000 deposit down. And this was my thinking around it. I actually couldn't settle on it if they needed me to settle on it because I couldn't service the debt.
Yep.
But I was like, okay, so worst case scenario is I need to settle on it. I just give the developer my $5,000 and I bounce if the market's dropped, and he has to pursue me. And the reality is he'll probably be broke anyway because the market's crashed. I'm like, best case scenario is the property's worth more money and I'll on-sell the contract. Fortunately for me.
Thinking. It all works out for you.
Yeah, well, that's how I think about most things in life. I'm like, worst case, best case. I'm happy with the worst case, so I go with it.
Now, we've talked about myths, but like there must have been mistakes or learnings along the way.
Still make them now.
Yeah. What were some that really stood out for you?
So having this misconception in my mind that the marketplace will always continue to go from strength to strength and my business will always grow.
Yeah.
I learnt the hard way in 2022, 23 that's not always the case. Obviously being in the real estate sector, I work in the real estate space as well. So was growing my portfolio, using debt to buy more assets. Business was growing really well. All of a sudden, these people called the RBA started to increase rates. And I was like, what the Anyway, that's not good apparently for my business. So my business, took a bit of a dive. Jack's debt got more expensive. I wasn't carrying lots of buffers. I was really stressed.
Yeah.
So the big learning from that point in my life is like if the higher the risk that you take in your life, and obviously buying lots of assets and carrying lots of debt is high risk, you need to have a lot of buffer in case of a rainy day. And that doesn't matter if you've got $1 million worth of debt or $100 million worth of debt. Like you need to have a war chest for a rainy day. And me being young and ambitious and aggressive and all the rest of it, I wasn't carrying that. So I had to work really, 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 really hard to make sure that
he had to make more videos, everyone.
That's right.
If it's possible, he had to make more videos.
So that's a really big one. And then there's all the little ones like, I bought my first property and my second property using ANZ as the lender, and ANZ cross-securitised my loans. I didn't even know how to spell cross-securitise when that happened. But I learnt as I went on that that's not a great thing when I went to buy my third property.
Yeah.
There's so many mistakes that I constantly make both in property and in business. And the good thing is when you make a mistake, it's then a learning to put in your mind to go, don't do that again, Jack.
Yeah.
Tick.
And you talked about the buffer and the debt at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about rentvesting, leverage, and the myth that debt is bad. Mm-hmm. What's your take?
I'm a bad boy if debt is bad because I've got lots of it. That sounded very raunchy, didn't it?
Yeah, that did.
Sorry about that. So rent vesting, we'll start on that. Rent vesting does not work for everyone. It works for a certain part of the demographic, and that demographic is people who live in cities where it is very expensive to buy, like Sydney, which is where I live. So generally speaking, if we use, what was the gentleman's name at the start who said?
Jordan, our mate Jordan.
Jordan, the legend. He's at the pub now, just knocking them back.
Watching the Bulldogs.
Watching the doggies. So, for someone like Jordan, you look in the inner west of Sydney, and to buy a house, you're looking at $2.5-3 million for something, okay, not even that great. To rent that same house might cost you $1,000 to $1,500 a week. So if you could look and say, well, what would it cost me to own that property with $2.5-3 million worth of debt at 6%? You're looking at, quick maths, $150,000 to $200,000 a year just in interest, which is $3,000 to $4,000 a week versus $1,000 to $1,500 to rent. There is a massive disparity there. And then with the cash flow saving, you then go and invest in assets that, have tax deductible debt associated with them. You can get a lot more debt because it's an investment debt, and you live a much better life.
Yeah.
as opposed to going and getting this huge owner-occupying mortgage, which is what most people do. They slave away paying it down over 10, 15, 20 years. And then when they get low debt, they come up with this grand idea that they should go get more debt and buy a bigger house. Everyone has that. It's like it's the path of like Australians, which again is great for people who invested in the marketplace because there's this like aspiration and status with living in a better suburb, owning a better house. Like it's something you tell people at dinner parties.
Yeah. There is a weird thing with status on suburbs, isn't there?
It's all status, yeah. Like the only reason someone wants to live in Vaucluse, Bellevue Hill, Point Piper is because when I tell people that, people think, oh, wow, that person's successful. It's no different to wearing a Louis Vuitton handbag or driving a BMW. It's all status. So the rent vesting thing is the more expensive the suburb that you live in, instead of buying there, rent there, you're like, it's not relative to everyone, but I rent a house. It costs me throw $3,800 a week, which is a lot of money to most people. But the house is worth $15 million bucks. So if I went and bought that house, it'd tie up $5 million bucks worth of capital, and my interest will only be $600,000 a year of non-deductible debt. And like, there's a lot of people in my world that have that debt. That's all paid for with after-tax income. So assume $600,000 of repayment. You've got to go earn 1.2 million, pay the ATO 600 of that, and then pay your mortgage with what's left over. It's just like, it's terrible.
I'm glad you did the math because my girl mathing was not mathing then.
But in saying that, for a lot of people when they go, oh yeah, but my mortgage is similar to what I can rent my property for, which is in lower dollar value areas, that's probably the case.
Yeah.
Because the rental yields are higher. But more expensive you go, lower rental yields, better to rent there and invest elsewhere.
And you touched on earlier around people thought you had rich parents. You didn't. But what do you say to people that assumed you had rich parents or a big leg up when you started?
Oh, I'm like, I want to see the check because I need it. People make excuses about everything, right? Like the reason that person is successful is because he or she had this and I didn't. So that's why I'm not successful. People always want to give themselves a reason to be average in life. So it's easier when you're like, the reason they're like that and I'm not is because they had this leg up or they had, whatever it is. There goes my phone and all my videos. So, it's just part and parcel of it. I've heard lots of things about myself that I didn't even realize. So I learned about myself.
Do you have a wiki page or something like that where there's like cool fun facts?
What's that, Reddit? Is it Reddit? Jack Henderson's like a celebrity on Reddit.
Now, we were talking a lot before around, well, you weren't in the room, but with the team around this whole era of finfluencers, which I actually didn't even know the term, but it's apparently a term.
Is that me?
And you're one of them, just FYI.
Finfluencer.
Yeah, you're a finfluencer.
That's right.
But there's loads of them out there. Do you ever see any advice on TikTok or Instagram that you're just like, that's complete bollocks? Like, absolutely not.
So the backstory to why I love property investing so much and why I'm so passionate about giving people the advice that I feel is right is because my parents went and bought two off the plan and one off the plan, one house on land package when I was much younger and they were, maybe in their late 30s, early 40s. Early 40s probably. And they sold them 11 years later for less than what they paid for them because they got shafted by an accountant. And this is not an uncommon story. This happens a lot. So the thing that I dislike is I see a lot of companies that are very big, much bigger than my company, who sell this garbage to people. And they know it's garbage because they would never buy that themselves. And, they sell this, pay down your mortgage and that's optimized for tax. And they put these people, normal mum and dads who are like working their ring out into these holes in the middle of nowhere because they get a big fat commission from the developer. Then these people get stuck with them in their self-managed super funds and, it's just terrible. And they're shit. Like there's no...
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. And that's what I dislike. And they're not finfluencers. They're just assholes.
Yeah.
So I'm super passionate about making sure that everyone knows exactly how I feel about them. And if people choose not to listen to me, then that's on them. And if they lose money, then should have listened to Jack Henderson.
There's always haters out there, so you're not going to be for everyone.
So that's what I dislike. Like at the end of the day, most people put out content because they think it's right. And not all my content is 100% correct for everyone's situation, just like, other people's content. But a finfluencer is a nice name. There you go.
You're a finfluencer.
Property guy by day and finfluencer by night.
Bigger kids, bigger fridge, bigger car, bigger parties. You even got a bigger dog. When you've outgrown your home or your loan, Aussie can help you get moving. From property listings to bridging loans, brokers to buyer's agents. Aussie, everything you need to find, buy and own.
Standard ACL Lending Group Distribution Proprietary Limited. Australian Credit Licence 246786. Aussie Homes Platform Pty Ltd ACN 67920569.
But what I really want to get into was, I'm going to use the big American dream, but it's the Australian dream, but the white picket fence, right? Like, to actually still, and that's all about owning a home, family, all that. But if we think about the property part of it, do you think that's still a reality?
Yeah, I think it is a reality. I think the issue or the misconception people have is they look at where their parents grew up and they go, why can't I afford to buy a house there?
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because probably when your parents grew up, there was a population of 10 million or 12 million in Australia. Now there's 27. So to assume that you can buy in the same location as your parents when our population was significantly lower is just silly.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I always say, you said the great American dream. It's like being born in the US and going, Trump, I can't believe I can't afford to buy an apartment in New York. Everyone would say you're an idiot for thinking that because New York is for rich people. So in Australia, to be born in Sydney in a wealthy suburb and be upset that you can't afford to buy there is silly because that's where wealthy people live. And I've said it before, the media love this when I was like, if you're not rich, you shouldn't live in Sydney. And what I meant by that comment is Sydney is for wealthy people. And if you don't have a lot of money, it is not a great place to live because I grew up in a place called Wilberforce, which is like 70 k's northwest of Sydney.
I was about to say, I have no idea where that is.
There you go. So for me to go to the city was not like a 15-minute drive. It was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Sydney, and I could tell people I live in Sydney, but the Sydney I grew up in and the Sydney I now get to enjoy are worlds apart.
Yeah.
It's like living in Bangladesh and coming here. Different, very different. Bangladesh. I was like, why did I say that? That's okay.
Yeah. Let's just go
So
there.
yeah, it's no, it's all right. Those things usually make it funny. So yeah, I think like you just need to be real with yourself and you need to go, if we work in average jobs, earning average incomes, that is fine. But you need to also live in an average suburb.
Yeah.
Like I don't make the rules. That's just the world. And if you're waiting for the market to drop, you're probably going to be upset. If you think the world is wrong because it doesn't suit you, you're also going to probably be upset. And you just need to accept where you're at and either change where you're at or just enjoy it.
And let's go. So we're talking about we need to be realistic, right? Like the Australian dream still exists, but we need to be realistic around what that looks like. So if we started today, both of us, we're looking for houses.
You and I?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Separately. We're separate.
Let's do it. We're looking for a house.
Yeah,
Where are we
we're looking for a house. Our salary, your salary, I'm going to say you're on 120.
Cool.
I'm going to be on 125 because women empowerment.
Yes,
I'm a little bit above you.
Yeah. You're the breadwinner.
No family. What's our strategy? What suburb are we looking at?
Okay, so the first thing you got to do is like how much money. We're first home buyers, right?
First home buyers.
Okay, are we buying individually or is that combined income?
Individually.
Okay, so I've got 120 grand. The first thing I want to do is I want to speak to a mortgage broker or the bank, whoever it is, and go, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Mortgage Broker, how much money can I borrow based on my income? And they're going to say, you can borrow on 120 grand, give or take, probably 600 grand.
Yep. Okay,
and you go, awesome. Based on that budget, how much deposit do I need? 5%, 30 grand, plus a little bit of buffer for pest and building inspections and, a night at the pub when you buy to celebrate and all that jazz. And then you go, okay, where can I afford to buy for 600 grand? You shouldn't be upset that you can only borrow 600 grand. You should go, where can I afford to buy? And then you go and explore. So if I was doing it, I would go to the Central Coast on Newcastle. That's what I would buy.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's a great place to live. Incredible lifestyle. You can still travel to Sydney every day. Like I travel from Western Sydney into the city to work and it took me an hour and a half. You can drive from the Central Coast to Sydney. It still takes an hour and a half. And I would buy my first property and it would either be a nice apartment by the beach or it would be an older house that I could do some work to. That's it.
Easy. So do you think people go wrong because they start at the second part first or?
Yeah, I just think people get excited about the fact of like, I can go buy a house now. And then they go look at houses and they go, wow, look at this, $1 million. It's like not understanding how much you can spend on a car and firstly walking into Bentley and then going, oh my gosh. And then when you walk out of Bentley and they go, you can only spend 30 grand. And then you go, I can only get a Camry. It would be very upsetting.
Disappointing.
But if you started at the brand new Camry, you would never even know what the Bentley looks like.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just need to be real with yourself and go, how much can I afford to spend? Awesome. Where can I buy?
Yeah, I feel like this is where I go wrong. And I was talking to a girlfriend literally on the weekend and she had a one-on-one with her husband. Like something's going wrong. We can't find a house. And then we're like, let's look at both of our search things because they were doing it independently but coming back together.
Right. Yes.
And he was like, our budget's this. anything under that budget, I don't care. But like any suburbs, any bedrooms where she was, well, it has to be 3 bedrooms. It has to have a car. It has to be in this or surrounding suburbs. And I'm willing to go a bit over and da-da-da. And I was like, no wonder you haven't landed on anything. You're
They're not aligned with the market.
Yeah.
And you know, the business when it first started, we worked in the owner-occupier space. So I worked with so many first home buyers and people spending many millions of dollars. And I can assure you, regardless if your budget's 600 grand or it's 25 million, and I've worked at all spectrums, no one can afford the house they want to buy. No one. I'm telling you right now, regardless, even if you've got an unlimited budget, people want houses that they will never be able to buy because people won't sell them. You know, I remember a client, they had 25 million bucks in Bronte. Bronte's a small suburb. And they wanted to be on certain streets. They wanted certain land sizes. They wanted a certain view of the beach.
Wow.
This is very common, very common. And the higher the price you go, the more it is. They never bought because they couldn't afford what they wanted. What they wanted was 35 million and what they had was 25 million, which I know was a first world problem. But it's
hard life for them.
It's no different having $1 million and wanting something for 1.5. It's like you just need to accept where you're at.
Yeah.
And they're the people generally who do best, which is me. I'm just like, I want to be a billionaire, but I'm not. So I can't buy a jet. And I'm upset that Adrian
But you did buy a boat. I saw that. That looks pretty swish.
I've had a boat for a lot of years and I upgraded recently. Yeah.
And how's the new upgrade?
It's okay.
He's really playing it down, I think,
it's
people.
Okay.
Okay, let's shift gears. Now we've moved on. We've bought our first house and we want to buy an investment property.
Yes.
It's 2025.
Yep.
Where are we investing? What suburbs are hot at the moment? We said Perth's a no-go,
Yes.
but we're...
See that, even that terminology, what suburbs are hot right now?
Yeah.
That's how everyone goes into investing. It's like going, what company should I invest in right now?
I've got the short-term view, guys.
That's right. Oh. So the way that I think about it is, how much can I spend? And
he's really schooling me here.
what is the best suburb that I can afford to buy in? Because what we see and have learnt with real estate, you know, we sort of agreed that real estate is a status thing. At the end of the day, everyone earns more money, they live in a better suburb. So good suburbs, as the population gets greater, only get better over time. You know, Point Piper will not become a worse suburb than it is right now, I can assure you. So if we believe in that concept, it's like, well, if I get into a good suburb now, it's not going to be the one that makes the top investment lists or any of that shit, but it's a really good suburb that's always been good and will only get better over time. And it only gets better over time. Generally, when things are better, they become more expensive. And that's how I think about investing. None of the suburbs that Jack Henderson invests in ever make the top 10 hotspots or here's the one that's going to do 30% overnight. But I can guarantee you I've made significantly more money than all of my counterparts investing in other locations, and I will continue to over a long period of time. And I just follow people who are way wealthier than me. Because if the best suburbs to invest in were places like Darwin and bumfuck nowhere in Queensland and Perth, I can assure you all of the wealthiest people in Australia would be buying the property there. And I don't know too many Gina Reinhardts and Harry Triggerbuffs who have bought in the back of Perth.
Bumfuck nowhere.
You know what I mean? Like, and I keep it really simple. So it's like, how much can I afford to spend? If I'm in Brisbane, for example, how close can I get to Brisbane CBD? Because generally the closer you are to a city, the better it is. The Gold Coast, how close can I get to places like Palm Beach and Burleigh and the most
I've bought in Burleigh Waters. I'm on it. There you go.
That's an affluent suburb, right?
Guys, I am clever.
You are the investor. So that's how I think about it. And like everywhere's the same, whether you're in Brisbane, Sydney, Newcastle, Central Coast, bloody Melbourne, wherever, just get in the best suburb you can afford and don't think about it overnight because you make the most amount of money and you look at like all of our grandparents and like they bought houses for $10.
It's devastating.
But it's not going to change. People think that, oh, how can it, the thing will remain the same. It's like if we buy a house for $1 million today, $1 million is a lot of money today, like 100 grand was a lot of money X amount of years ago. And as time goes on, because the values change so slowly and we just acclimatise to them, when something's worth $5 or $6 or $7 million that was once worth $1 million, you don't think, oh, $1 million was so cheap because $1 million was a lot of money when it was bought. So, yeah.
So what are we more obsessed with at the moment? Are we more obsessed with creating content and being influencer? Is that how I say it?
Yeah.
Or is it still you still love investing in property?
Yeah, I love both. I'm not a finfluencer. I just talk about my own experiences. I love property. I really, really love real estate. Now the acquisitions that I personally do are very different from what I started at. I buy, I'm obsessed with rural property at the moment.
Interesting.
Got 2 wedding venues.
Wedding venues.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of content on that. So it's just a really awesome way to own property because it's a real estate asset.
Yeah.
And it's a business as well. I call them active investments because I can, push onto the assets all of my learnings in business. So in weddings, obviously, it's a service-based business. You've got to acquire customers. I know how to advertise, obviously.
Are you also a side wedding planner or?
Not a wedding planner. No, I don't have any active involvement in it. But there's some really cool advantages with rural property, like you don't pay land tax. You get some really cool exemptions because I'm a primary producer. I have cattle.
All the buzzwords, guys.
Yeah. So I love that, but I also love business. I'm obsessed with business and growth. And again, business is one of those worlds where I love accountability. So if my business is not doing well, guess whose fault it is? Jack Henderson's. But guess who has a solution? Jack Henderson. So when I do really...
And he has a hat.
That's right. If you want one of my hats, just let me know. I'll never sell it to you. Yeah, I love that. I just love, the game of property and the game of business because I'm in full control of what happens. So
I love it. I feel like the video is just an extension of your passion and you're just educating people on stuff that you're doing every day.
Literally. And I only tell people what I've done. So exactly what I've spoken about throughout this is exactly what I do. I'm like, oh, okay, I've got this budget. What can I afford? Like, I would love to go buy a farm. I'm one of these people who can't afford to buy what I want to buy a farm in the Southern Highlands. But for what I want in the Southern Highlands, I've got to compete with people like Scott Farquhar, who's got $15 billion, and unfortunately, I don't.
I think Nicole Kidman's got one down there as well.
They
you could
all
hit
have
her
them.
up.
And like the average price per hectare down there is off its head. But I can't afford to buy there. So I have to buy in other places.
You could sell the boat. It's all about sacrifice, someone told me.
Could do, but...
Okay, last question. But what does owning property actually mean to you beyond the actual dollars?
I mean, if it didn't make money, I wouldn't own it. Like, that's the reality. I invest in real estate because it makes money. I mean, I love it. I'm passionate about it, but I'm passionate about it because it makes money.
Because he's going to be a billionaire. You heard it here first,
Literally,
guys.
yeah.
He's going to be a
heard
billionaire.
it here first. I've said it many times, but we can pretend you've heard it here first.
You've heard it here on all of his videos first.
That's right. So, I love real estate at the end of the day, but I love it because of what it can do to people's lives. So I think you can be an everyday Australian, and history has proven this, and you can buy a good house and it can make you millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Very, very hard to do that in any other asset class. People always do the comparison between real estate versus shares, which is an awesome comparison to make. But if you want to be really successful in investing in shares, not financial advice, you need to also be very disciplined with your money because you need to invest consistently week in, week out. Every week you need to keep putting money into the market. 1% of the population can do that because people like life and they enjoy life. Where real estate, you only ever have to come up with one amount of money. And then you're forced to pay your mortgage every week because the bank will take it off you if you don't. So you can create a lot more wealth through real estate with being way less disciplined. And Australia's economy is geared towards people and the real estate market. So,
well, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yes.
But if they wanted to reach out to you, do they slide into your DMs? What's the go?
You won't get me replying. You probably get an offshore Filipino who's just going
little
crazy outbound in my... That's the truth. People message me all the time and I'm just like, there's just thousands and thousands of messages.
Actually, I'm not even kidding. I added you on Instagram.
Did you get a message straight away?
Got a message straight away being like, hey, what are your goals or something? And then I wrote back thinking it was you, being like, oh, sorry, I'm actually just stalking you because I'm about to do a podcast with you.
That wasn't me.
And then I was like, oh, no one wrote back to me. How awkward.
Yeah, that wasn't me. That's so funny. So don't message me on Instagram.
Don't slide into his DMs.
It's not going to be me. Yeah, so I'm assuming there's probably lots of girls and stuff who have tried to DM me and they've just gotten like, hey, give us your name and number, and then you just get hammered with my sales team. You should email me, jack@henderson.com.au. If your email's not creepy, you'll probably get a reply.
There we go. Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
These Four Walls is brought to you by Aussie. Like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcasts for new episodes every fortnight. For more information, see the show notes to this episode or visit aussie.com.au. The information provided during this podcast is for general informational purposes only. Aussie does not provide financial or investment advice. The information in this podcast does not take account of your objectives, financial circumstances, or needs.